hello again from the Granite State. My name is Gary, and this is the Restoring Main Street podcast. As always, thank you for joining me. Again, just want to take a couple minutes of your time tonight. Not going to chew up a lot of it. Hope you all had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. Spent some time with family and friends, and just enjoyed the day. Thankful for what you have, and we're able to, like you said, share that with loved ones the best you can, given the circumstances that we find ourselves still in today. So, like I mentioned, I only want to take a few minutes of your time tonight. This is going to be hopefully a quick sharing. As I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, my intent with a few upcoming installments is to offer some alternatives to what you see out there as far as what's happening around us, as far as just every aspect of your life, whether it be dealing with the internet, dealing with finances, thinking about your freedom of speech, just coping, finding a way to cope and kind of live within this spirit of the age that we find ourselves in right now. And part of that has to do with the idea of creating a parallel alternative infrastructure and society. Unfortunately, due to the spirit of the age and the way that they're conducting themselves right now, the way that they're treating anybody with an opposing point of view, they're trying to find ways to ostracize you, to make you feel alone and isolated. And they're doing everything they possibly can to do that. And they're attacking basically every aspect, of our lives, every single aspect, so that hopefully you feel overwhelmed and they get you to succumb to the pressures, the direction they're trying to push you in. So like I said, the next few podcasts that I share are probably going to be in this light. And this one, I wanted to share something that just came up today that I thought was worth sharing the information with you, and give you a little bit of insight. Like I said, this caught me by surprise. I was very happy to hear about it. But, without stretching this out, too much longer as far as the intro goes, let's start the program. And there we go. Okay. So what am I talking about? What am I alluding to? Like I said, I'm going to try to cover a bunch of different topics over the next few weeks. And I'm going to attempt to break them down into just single podcasts, hopefully about just one thing. I don't want to make this too lengthy. Like I said, I know in the past that I have been guilty of stretching, having a fairly long podcast. I've been trying to get it down to 30 minutes, and some of these I'm hoping I can get down to less time than that, but it depends on the subject and what I'm trying to share. But tonight, what I wanted to get into, and I'm just going to pull this up right now and share with you so you don't have to look at my ugly mug any longer, and I can try to start to explain this to you. What you see here, this is a document drafted by the West Virginia State Treasurer, Riley Moore. And what you're seeing here is a letter addressed to the banking industry. The reason they're addressing the banking industry, they're addressing the banking industry in their state. And what Mr. Moore has been able to do is actually gain the support and of 14 other states. They've signed on to this. They are sharing it with the banking institutions in their states. And what does this what does this letter reference? What are they hoping to achieve from this? Well, what you're beginning to see, and I've talked about this with the Great Reset, if you remember some of my past podcasts with my friend Jay, getting into what it is that the World Economic Forum is attempting to institute globally. And what you saw the Joe Biden administration when they attended the Glasgow, Scotland climate change meetings. This is a lot of what these meetings were about, was the whole Build Back Better agenda, like I said, which originates from the World Economic Forum. And what this is designed to do, it's designed to shift the global economy from anything resembling the free market system into something that is centrally engineered by each government through a group or collective, the United States of which no longer being a superpower, but just being another seat at the table. And one of the ways that they're going to attempt to make this shift, they're using the pandemic as a way to kick this off. That they feel that it creates the atmosphere and, well, basically the tools that they need to attempt to pull this off. And the financial and banking industry is the first place that they're going to start. And what it is they're trying to do is basically trying to squeeze each of us, herd each of us in a certain direction. Okay, so what the banking industry has been doing, they're looking to pick and choose particular industries that they do not want to finance, that they want to basically force out of business because they don't see them as anything useful moving forward. It helps them push their climate change agenda. It helps shift every nation across the world into a more manageable frame of mind from their respect. And like I said, one of the industries that they're attacking is the fossil fuels industry, anything that is basically oil, coal, natural gas. So what this letter from Riley Moore addresses is a pushback to the banks in his state. And what they're saying to them basically is, we've noticed that you're taking the approach, kind of a negative approach to offering financing to any one of the fossil fuel corporations or companies within our state. You're not offering them financing. You're kind of you're basically squeezing them out so they don't have a way to operate, and that's part of the whole Build Back Better World Economic Forum agenda, is a way to, like I said, squeeze out and close out industries that they don't want moving forward, much to the detriment of all of us, as you are well aware of, because you go to the gas station and try to fill up your pump. You see the price of what gas is right now. Excuse me. And this is the beginning of their efforts, like I said, to try to shut down those industries. And the letter that you see before you, like I said, is a way to put each of these banks, starting in West Virginia, on notice that the state of West Virginia is not going to look kindly upon these efforts. Okay, so what they're saying is basically the state takes in taxes, like every state does. They put them in different institutions within the state to hold those funds. And what the letter is suggesting or stating to these banks, that if you're going to embrace economic wokeism, if you're going to start penalizing fossil fuel companies or the industry in any way in our states, we are going to pull our funding. We're going to pull our money, our assets, out of your banks, and we're going to place them at other institutions that are more favorable to the benefit of our citizens. And he's been able to get 14 other states, other state treasurers, to sign on to this as well. So I'm going to do my best to just read a portion of this letter to you. And at the end of this podcast, if you look down in the notes, I will give you a direct link so that you can read this letter for yourself. All right? So Mr. Moore starts off here, to whom it may concern in the U.S. banking industry. We are writing to notify you that we will be taking collective action in response to the ongoing and growing economic boycott of traditional energy production industries by U.S. financial institutions. Just as each state represented in this letter is unique and in its governing laws and economy, our actions will be take different forms. However, the overreaching objective of our actions will be the same: to protect our state's economies, jobs, and energy independence from these unwarranted attacks on our critical industries. So that's, pretty strong words, basically, laying out that, we're not going to stand for this. And as it turns out, collectively, these state treasurers, who are basically, fiduciaries, stewards of the money that is collected in taxes in each one of their states, the amount of money that's affected that they could conceivably pull out of these banks and put into more favorable lending institutions is $600 billion. So we're not talking about an insignificant amount of funds here. We're talking about, an action that will definitely put the banks on notice. So they're saying, if you're going to embrace any of this wokeism, this Build Back Better agenda, trying to force fossil fuel companies out of business by not lending to them, not allowing them those finances that they need in order to operate, then we are going to act in perpetuity, and we're going to pull our assets out of your banks, and we're going to move them. And like I said, he's been able to get 14 other states to sign on to this. Now, let me just read on just a little bit further. It continues in talking about the critical industries. Coal, oil, and natural gas industries provide well-paying jobs, health insurance, basic infrastructure, and a quality of life to citizens in every state. As the Obama administration's war on coal demonstrated, reckless attacks on law-abiding energy companies cuts off paychecks for workers and takes food off the table of hardworking families. The Biden administration has resumed these attacks by attempting to ban energy exploration on public lands and reportedly pressuring U.S. banks and financial institutions to limit, encumber, or outright refuse financing for traditional energy production companies. So that pretty well spells it out. Like I said, these state treasurers, 14 of them, and I'll take a minute and go back to that document and just read down to you the states that have added their names to this. State treasurers have signed and added on to this. The biggest reason for me sharing this, especially here in the Granite State, where we are a Republican state, I would like to see our state treasurer sign on to this as well. Any Republican state across the country, their treasurers should be signing on to this in order to give it even more bite. This is a way to push back against this effort by the World Economic Forum and the Build Back Better project that is training to they're attempting to destroy the free market and our livelihoods. This is a way to, like I said, push back, and this is more of what we need to do. Because what they're doing with financing in the banking industry, I mean, they want to do, if they get their way, they want to do the same thing through mergers of big business and the government to attack other parts of our lives, basically. Not providing financing to ammunition producers, to gun manufacturers, putting legislations or putting laws or restrictions in place that would basically force your local, on the insurance end of things, your local gun store, for lack of a better term, out of business because they are either, tax them or regulate them to the point, or regulate the price of ammo to the point where you can't go to your local gun store, gun manufacturers. If you think they're not going to do this, they're doing this to fossil fuels, they'll do the same thing to gun manufacturers where they will not finance them, where they can't produce the firearms to fill the stores in order for you to be able to purchase a firearm. So this goes beyond just the initial financing and fossil fuels. They're going to use this same tool as an attempt to attack every single part of your life that they want to change. Now, where am I here? Wow. Well, like I said, it's I got wind of this today in listening to one of my programs, and along with the post to the direct document so that you can read it and see it. And like I said, I encourage you, whoever is picking this up, any states across the country, that you would reach out to call your governor and your state treasurer and share this with them, and find out if they are aware of this letter, this effort started by Riley Moore in West Virginia, and are they looking into it and going to sign on to this? And if they are not, ask them why. This is one of the easiest things that we can do as individuals to help push this along, to further stand up against the changes that they're trying to force on all of us. They're trying to basically blow up the free market, blow up our freedoms, and remove choice from our lives. You talk about fascism. This is the definition of fascism. If we don't agree with what you're doing, what you're making, what you're offering, we're going to find a way to shut you down. So I thought this was, like I said, just a good way to kick off what I'm looking forward to do over the next few weeks, in giving you alternatives, things that you can do, ways that you can approach how our lives are being attacked and eroded, our freedoms are being attacked and eroded, and this is a way, like I said, to push back. So I will share. I'm also, like I said, going to share with you the on Facebook. This was a segment on Glenn Beck's program today. I have a 13-minute clip that I will share at the bottom in the notes of this podcast, along, like I said, with the link to that document so that you can read down through it. And, before I forget this, let me take just a second and pull that back up again. And I just want to read to you the states that have signed on to this already. Okay, like I said, it originated with Riley Moore from West Virginia. The state treasurer from the state of Arizona, state of Arkansas, state of Idaho, Louisiana, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota. Not North Dakota, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, Wyoming, Alabama, Texas, Kentucky, and Utah. So, if you didn't hear your state's name read off there, I would encourage you to take this information, take the link that I'm going to give you, read down through the document itself, take a couple of minutes and just watch these 13-minute clip from the Glenn Beck program today that you can find on Facebook, but I'm going to share the link to the clip with you. And listen to the explanation, get a good understanding of what it is that I'm sharing tonight, and act accordingly. Like I said, call your governor's office, call the state treasurer's office, which I have plans on doing, and ask them, are they aware of this? Are you going to join this effort? And if not, why? And make it plain that that you expect them to. You know, this is all working toward, like I said, the whole idea of shifting us from a free economy to this global governance of Build Back Better in the World Economic Forum. This is, you know, one step closer to providing every person, and this is what their intent is through the financial industry, to start to give each of us an ESG score. And ESG stands for, they're going to look how you personally impact environmental, your social, and governance. That's what ESG stands for: environmental, social, and governance. So they're going to look at how you conduct yourself in social media, basically look into what you believe in, and hold you accountable for those things. They're going to look at your impact as far as the environment. You know, how your house is put together, what kind of fuel do you burn, anything and everything that they feel could possibly impact negatively society. And then what is your opinion and approach as far as governance? You know, do you still believe in individual freedoms and a constitutional republic, which they are going to they already frown on it. They're going to attempt to frown on it further and make it painful if that's the choice that you decide to make. So this is just the first step in trying to push back. This is me just sharing a little bit of information with you as a tool. Because a lot of times you can feel pretty helpless, except for what we've done in years past, and voting, midterms and elections. The days of using that singular tool in order to promote what it is that we care about and preserve those things that we want to preserve in our lives, our principles, our morals, the way we conduct ourselves. We can no longer wait for elections to secure these things. We need to step up and start doing many, many other things, become more and more involved in your local politics, even at the town, your city and town level. I would suggest getting in touch with your city and town to see if they're aware of this, and as far as the banking industry and what they're attempting to do in order to shut down, like I said, the fossil fuel industry and cause all of us great pain. It's just they're using the approach of climate change to try and just bash us over the head to comply with what it is they think we should be doing, regardless of how we feel about any of this. And I say no go. I say, yeah, I'm not going to comply. And this is one place to start. Okay, so like I said, I will share that information with you, that document, and the link to the 13 minutes Glenn Beck spot that you can watch. It gives you a really good explanation of what all of this is about beyond what I've shared with you. And as you've probably noticed, the beginning of the program, when I go from my company logo, it goes straight into a 50-second spot. Advertising my book, the North Country Chronicles. The reason I'm starting out the podcast with that, just so you're aware, this is the only place that I get to promote this. And so podcast will be starting with that in an effort for you to make people aware and have you go and check out, like I said, at Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or go to iTunes to download a digital copy. You can get digital copies, you can get hardcovers, you can get paperbacks. So that's what the beginning of the podcast is sharing there, is my only time or a moment of being able to promote my book. So I'm sharing that with you, and I hope you can appreciate that. And hey, it makes a great Christmas gift if you have a poetry lover out there. Cover a lot of different topics, so think about picking up a copy for them. And as I have been the last few weeks, I want to remind you about my friends at metalheadsrock.com. They have a huge selection of concert T-shirts, and I just noticed today that they offer actually horror T-shirts and stuff like that, and jewelry. Like I said, they stamped out and not really designed, but painted up and stamped out a couple of logos that I have out back there, the 1776 original 13 colonies flag, and as you can see to my right, or your left, or however you see it on the screen there, my company logo. So I would encourage you to go, if you're a headbanger, go check out their page. That's metalheadrocks.com. They've got some fantastic stuff. Oh, and let me not forget the burn pits. Like I said, they make metal burn pits that you can kind of personalize and have in your backyard. If you want a conversation piece the next time you invite friends over, my friends at Metalheads can provide that for you. They have a shop here in Rochester on Main Street, my little town, and over at the Lilac Mall. But like I said, you can access them through their website. Again, that's metalheadsrock.com. So in parting, like I said, I tried to keep this short, but as usual, I have a hard time doing that. Just want to share with you that you can find the Restoring Main Street podcast. I have a Facebook page, so I always put a link there to the podcast. I have a presence on Getter, which is RMS 1776. You can find me there. Gab TV and Rumble. I have Restoring Main Street podcasts there. I would actually prefer that you go there as opposed to YouTube. You can find Restoring Main Street at YouTube, and that's usually the link I post on Facebook, because I figure, that's the one that Facebook is going to like the best. But I would actually prefer that you consider going to the Gab platform and click on their little TV logo up at the top of the page and find the Restoring Main Street podcast there and watch it there, or watch it at Rumble. Those are the places that no matter what I say, I will not be censored. So I'd appreciate it if you would support those pages. Excuse me. If you're just looking for the audio version, you can find Restoring Main Street on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Anchor FM, and I would appreciate a review and a 5-star rating if you like what it is that I'm trying to produce here. I would really appreciate that. Share this with friends. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the notification. All of those things help promote this program. And like I said, my efforts here are just to try to inform and share information with you. I'm just attempting to be a conduit. I'm just another local guy just like you that managed to figure out how to operate one of these recording systems, platforms, OBS on my PC, and link up a couple of cameras and some lighting, and just voice my opinion and share those with you. So if you appreciate those things, I would appreciate your support. And again, as always, in closing, I'd like to share with you the idea of just God, freedom, and family. Because if we lose the first two, our families are doomed. So stand up, America. Don't let them rule you. Stand up for your independence. Speak your mind, and push back. Push back. So Until next time, God bless.